Hi, everybody. I'm Stacey Anderson. I'm here with my co-host, Julie Smith.
Hello.
Of the Work Skills Foundation, and welcome to another episode, a special episode in a new place. Kind of new, just down the hallway of Better Together here at Wayne Media. We're excited because we have Rob Johnson, who's our board president, here with us today. Thank you for joining us, Rob.
Thanks for the invitation.
Of course. Board chair, board president, tomato.
It's all the same. I wield the power the same.
He is the grand poobah.
Yes. Yeah. We're so excited because obviously this is our 20th anniversary year for the foundation.
Yay.
And we're able to do so much together as a culmination of these 20 years all together. But let's talk a little bit about how do we interact in the community? What role do we play as a foundation? And, as I look at the faces we have around the table, there is a little coffee table here, but as I look at the faces around the table, I see people who are super passionate about the community and wanting to help. I guess my question to sort of get the conversation going about work skills is, what do we want to be when we grow up as a foundation? What do we feel is missing in our community that Work Skills Corporation and thus the foundation who supports the corporation can better fulfill for our neighbors, our friends, all of those peeps in our community who are rocking and rolling?
For me, being probably the newest person here to Work Skills, only been associated for a few years, but looking at what I see from a vision standpoint is I want us to be more of what we are right now. I don't necessarily want to change the scope or, the vision of what we're trying to serve. I just want it to be at a bigger scale. When I first started, and Julie, when you and I first met, we did a podcast. You're one of the first people in the studio.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep inviting me back.
Yeah. Johnny does, despite my protests. No, but when we first met, you explained to me what Work Skills does, and the first thing that I had a hard time tracking with it because it's so large. From the corporation perspective, from what the foundation does as a service arm, there's just so many different things to get involved with. And one thing that you said to me was, it's this best kept secret, or that's how people think of it, right? And we don't want that. And that's been so ingrained in us to, stifle that message of, we don't want people, just to find this gem. We want to broadcast it from the tallest building that we can, specifically within this county. And I think that's what we've done a really good job of. So more of that, making sure that, we can provide more access and partner with more corporations and businesses and community partners to keep serving people the way that we have been, just at a much larger scale.
I agree. And I will say thank you to you for providing the podcast space, because we have reached so many more people through the podcast. People who follow Wayne Media look and see what else you're talking about. And it's such a huge gift. And I agree with you. We don't want to be the best kept secret. And I think every month we get a little better, a little better, a little better. And as far as the vision, right? The foundation vision statement is a community that offers opportunity for everyone with the desire to succeed. That is spot on. That is what we're doing.
Absolutely.
But we couldn't do it without the support of the community.
Right. And, one thing that has been illuminated, because Rob, I'm in the same boat. I've been working with Work Skills and Julie since 2017. Mm-hmm. And it took a long time for me to fully grasp the breadth of the work, because it's just so comprehensive. And when it comes down to it, especially in the landscape of our culture right now as a world, as a country, it comes down to accessibility and making those everyday things that I'm sure so many of us take for granted accessible to individuals who have a barrier, whatever that may be. A lot of times we talk about the mental barriers, we talk about disabilities, kind of generally, we talk about physical barriers, but so many times we're already making accommodations for employees, for community members, just to have accessibility to everyday things. Why can't we take that up a level and make work more accessible? Thus, a fulfilled life, a strong, I'm missing the word here, but a strong sense of purpose and whatnot, more accessible to people who never thought that it would be possible. And I think that, when you can just like turn my back and I'll preach about work skills. But when I talk about work skills, what I mostly go for is, hey, we're just trying to make work accessible. And we're trying to connect the dots between employer and employee to find out how to make that relationship as copacetic as possible.
Yeah, and as we're going through that journey, we're realizing there's so many new things that we can keep doing. So there's different aspects of finding the connections between employers and employees. And eventually where I want us to get to is the point where we're now the standard bearer. We're the level, we're the bar that people need to hit if they're going to have, a competing foundation or a competing corporation that's going to be something similar. I want to be the leader in that space for people so they know what quality service in this vertical looks like.
Love it. I think what you said, it's so important because everybody can do something.
Yes.
Right? And that's a big part of who we are. And oh my gosh, so the corporation is 52 years old now. I think that's right. And literally tens of thousands of clients have been served. Mm-hmm. And when you think about that number, it's astounding. And so 2017, I don't know, pre-COVID.
2020, yeah.
2020, the number of programs and services that the corporation has added, like the entire clinical services piece, it's huge. Like we keep finding things that fit within the mission and we figure out how to do it. And we had a board member who said one time what she likes about the way Work Skills operates is if there's a need in the community and we find out about it, we don't spend months having focus groups and meetings and all these things. We decide, yep, that fits in with what we do, and we figure out how to do it. And hearing it from someone who doesn't work there, those are the things that make you happy. Well, make me happy, right?
Absolutely. What a great testament to how this foundation was born, right? Mm-hmm. It was a group of individuals who wanted to give back in some way to an organization who has changed their family's trajectory, their life. And so thus the foundation was born. And I know it's gone through a lot of iterations about, well, what does it support? And at the end of the day, it's doing just what you mentioned, Julie, fulfilling the needs that arise within the corporation. So there's not, as a board member who is able to be a part of the conversations about how we fulfill those needs, we're not asking for a lot of red tape. We're not asking for, a lot of bureaucracy and how to manage our ability to do this. It's more so, what are you doing? What do you need? And what do our community members need? And how can we help?
Recently, we had the corporation come to us with a small but life-changing request, in addition to what we've already committed to them this year. Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
It's an example of us being able to act quickly. But there was someone that had a need where the time that they were in clinic was going to be cut by 2/3 from 3 days down to 1 day.
Because they couldn't afford to pay it out of pocket.
Yep. So you came to us and said, here's the issue. Is that something that you guys think you can solve? And me and Stacey and Brandon and Danielle and sat down and, over email. And
I was sitting when I read it. That's helpful.
I was as well. But that's exactly, to Stacey's earlier point, that's exactly what we want to do is be able to help people who have those immediate needs and close that gap. And the other thing too, that does is and I've talked about this since I've been on the board, is giving people a vision of what it looks like to work with us. This model-based, marketing, for lack of a better term. But when people can understand how we can change a life by doing that, by, restoring exactly what they need from a clinical standpoint, and getting them the services they need, and they can see that's where their money's going through the foundation. It's powerful.
Right.
They can see exactly how the money's being spent, and it's not going to, 80% overhead or a ton of logistics or,
Right.
And Stacey knows this better than I think all of us in this room, but how foundations can be set up exceptionally well and how they can be set up to serve the interest of the board personally. And we've always very much been on the side of, making sure that, the money is going to exactly who it needs to be.
In that specific case, the client was a child who needed the services, and they weren't going to be able to do it. So when I was approached you as the board chair, when I went back and reported that the foundation had said yes, people were really, really happy. Like people who, I'm not going to say they don't have emotion, but I saw emotional reactions from people who were not necessarily the people that I would think would get all, teared up like I do. I mean, it was just, thank you. That was so wonderful. That was a huge gift.
Well, I think that just like Rob said, that's the stuff that we're here for, are those very quick decisions. We try to remain nimble in that sense to be able to make those quick decisions, along with the broader vision decisions too.
Yeah.
Our goal is, and I'm so sorry to interrupt you or step on you, Rob.
Not.
The goal is, in Rob's comments about becoming larger and being able to do more, is to make a greater impact for those larger, more strategic needs of the corporation, meaning maybe it's a new program, maybe it's new space, things like that we can really, really do some really great work in, as well as retain enough revenue to support more and more of those, one-off requests or those gap funding requests, because that, while it's smaller in comparison to the larger requests, the emotional impact and the impact that it has on that family is second to none.
It's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah. And forgive me, I forgot where I was going.
I'm
'cause
sorry.
Oh, here, let me just step on you then while you continue to think.
Yeah, that'd be great. Then
So,
you're fine.
Stace-
I just can't remember.
We'll just give Rob a moment. Now I forgot. Oh, wait, it's something in the
This
air.
is all
No,
my fault.
This is all your fault. So one of the things that you mentioned, right, these are all the things that we do. And some people might not know the procedure. And just briefly, the corporation decides what the need is. Every year, they come to the foundation board and submit a request for X amount of dollars for X program or programs.
Right.
So I've been there for 12 years, as long as both of you have been married. Oh, not to each other. That sounded really weird.
Yeah, clarify.
So in the 12 years that I've been involved with the foundation, we have done things like supported furnitures and fixtures at 2 residential homes, right? We have provided lots and lots of training supplies for the job placement, job readiness program, the employment services. We have supported Artisan Corner. We have supported clinical services. Again, that was new, and the startup fees. So it's just a range of things that have been supported, and they're also the transitional workers who are kind of non-traditional and just need some extra support. So it's every piece of the pie at Work Skills. I think we have 8 divisions now, and we're not here just to support this or just to support that. It's wherever the need is.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is, talking about the logistics of how it happens in the background, a lot of people don't understand that process, and there's more need than there is revenue. And that's the case
Always.
with every foundation. And with us, we make a list of how are we going to prioritize this? What's the greatest need that's going to make the biggest impact? And then there's these, one-off needs that come in, and as we can, we're happy to fill them. And the other thing is, seeing how much need out there, at least for me, it's so motivational to how can we structure this foundation better. And I think I've been maybe a little bit too aggressive.
I kind of got that from you.
Yeah. Maybe a little too aggressive on the growth end of I want to challenge people. I want to push them to do more and make this bigger, not so we can say, oh, wow, look how big the foundation is, but damn, look how many people we're serving.
Exactly.
It's the pass through,
You know,
right?
and that's so much more important than like, you know, the infrastructure of it. And, you know,
Although the infrastructure is important.
right. So Stacey's force making sure that it's growing wisely.
Wisely.
Well, you heard, right? I said yesterday, and I will say it on air because I've said this before publicly. I would do what I do as a volunteer. I mean, it's just, and that's what happens to, I can't say all, I don't like to generalize, but most of the people I work with, I'm probably all. Once you're hooked, you're hooked.
Yeah.
Like you will do whatever you can to help the participants. You know, we are advocates, we are their voice, we are their cheerleaders. It just happens. It's not part of your training or your onboarding. You can't help it.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I feel needs to be addressed too is how this organization is so special. So just a little context. I work with organizations, big and small, all across the country. And one thing that's so special about Work Skills is you address so many of those main societal, we'll just call them pillars. You know, we're addressing the mental health component of our community. We're addressing workforce readiness. We're addressing education and community education and ambassadorship for individuals with disabilities. We're addressing accessibility. We've got all of these different pillars under our roof because, just as you mentioned, when we see that there is a need, or when when Work Skills Corporation sees a need, an unmet need, or somebody who is experiencing a barrier, they're going to work hard to address that. And that is very, very rare in this world.
Really?
It is rare, yeah.
I don't mean to sound surprised, but I'm surprised.
It is because the ability to remain nimble, the way that Work Skills Corporation and Foundation is not necessarily something that you see in other organizations. There's a lot of different hoops to jump through, and it's nobody's fault. It's just the way that they're set up. But I think
Somebody's fault.
okay.
Someone screwed up, it's along the way, right?
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
and
you,
there-
Rob. Thank you for that point of justice.
Perhaps, some of the organizations are not a private nonprofit.
Right. And I think that that's
Sorry. One tool, Stacey. It's the hammer.
I think that that's what's so special, from a donor's perspective, because I can say that we're all donors in this room too. From a donor's perspective, I know that my dollar is not going to get caught in that red tape either. To what Rob was saying, this dollar is going to go directly to that family that needed some help with copays. It's going to go directly to improving the lives of our artisans and, making that program that much more accessible and strong. And I think that that's a really cool thing, a really high impact way to get involved in the community.
You know what else is really cool? I jumped in so I didn't have to interrupt you. I
Nice.
saw you taking a breath. No, wait, it's my turn.
Shut up, Rob.
I'm sorry, did you have...
I'm good.
One of the things that I really like about Work Skills is exactly that, because as a donor, you can come to Work Skills and you can meet the people that you are supporting, right?
It's the best part.
Our clients love visitors, and you walk in there and they can't wait to introduce themselves and ask you who you are and what are you doing there and where do you live? Ryan, I live in Gregory, right? Ryan lives in Gregory. We all know that. But you can hang out with them and they can explain to you what they're doing, if they're on the production floor putting the clamps together, or if they're in Artisan Corner and are working on this ginormous pin art thing, pointillism piece. Or you can come and shop in the boutique and, if there's someone around, they might grab you and say, well, come on back to the art room because she's here today. You can meet her. And then when you go back there with your new painting and you take a picture with the artisan, the buckets are all overflowing.
Oh, yeah.
I had a point, but I seem to have lost it somewhere along the
I
way.
think you made a good one.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. And the other thing, to go to one of the challenges that we have right now, is how do we differentiate? How do you tell the Work Skills Foundation from another foundation? And how do you demonstrate that all the things we just said, your money is going exactly where it ought to, These needs are being prioritized. We're agile. We can move quickly. And I think a lot of it is just continuing to press this story through this medium, through what we do online, through the community, and continue, broadcasting that as much as we can, because it is different. That's the reason I'm here. Time is finite and we all don't have a lot of it. So where we pick and choose to spend our time is really important. And one of the time commitments I've made is to this, because I can see how much it changes people and I can see how many lives are impacted from that. And it's something that's awesome to be a part of, and knowing that I helped in some small way.
Who's saying small? You
I-
help in a huge way
small
all
way.
the time, Rob.
Well, I'm saying small because
A
it's like,
hammer of a way, if you will.
well, when you look at, the 20 years, and it's interesting to think about the 20-year evolution and where we're at. And I feel like, damn, in the last 3 years, we've made so much progress and we've grown so much. And it's all based off of that foundation that we had going into it.
Yeah, absolutely. We come from a legacy of very strong thinkers and really, really strong doers. I think of the previous leaders of the corporation and, the foresight that they put into so much of this work at a time when, again, those pillars in the community weren't really thought of. The mental health, individuals' disabilities, all of those items were sort of swept under a rug.
Right, because the kids, right, had a lot of support in school, and then they graduated from high school, and there was nothing. There was no transition plan, and that's when Rod Jones and his visionary self got involved. Even the pictures of what work skills looked like back then and what work skills looks like now, it's amazing. It just makes me happy, and I would like to quadruple that.
And it's working. I mean, it's clearly working. Any story that comes out seems like a success story. Even if we're moving the needle just barely, that's a huge step forward for somebody. That makes me really proud about what we're doing, and, building off of that foundation of vision. I think that the sky's the limit for us, especially with the golf outing coming up here in May.
I'd like to take a moment to pause for an ad break for the Work Skills Golf Outing commencing on May 19th
At Oak Point.
at Oak Point.
This
in
is our
beautiful southern Brighton, Michigan.
Yeah. So this is our 17th year. So it was originally called the Golf Palooza because all of the holes were 3-par holes. So it was a 3-par palooza, Golf Palooza, yeah. And then we decided to not do all par 3 holes. I don't golf, so maybe this makes sense. So then it just became a golf outing. But now, fast forward to the last few years, and it is now Opportunities, TEES. And why is that? Because I
Because
think
we're golfing.
golfing and the tee, that's the little thingy that you put the ball on
Indeed.
before you step up to the plate. And then
Yeah, you got it. Keep
My
going.
son calls it a golf field.
the
so.
golf on the golf field, yes, it's Opportunities because the money raised at the golf outing go to provide opportunities for work skills participants.
It does. And what's so cool, we started this last year, is we're going to actually have a participant there
We are
telling their story. And he's a friend of the shows, if you will.
not quite confirmed, but yes, we're hoping.
Okay, I won't go on too much about that. But again, an opportunity to see, that success in real life.
To see your gift at work, right? I mean, that's one of my favorite things, your gift at work. And I do know I've been around a long time and in the nonprofit world for half of my life. Wow. I just did math in my head. That was a bit overwhelming. However, there are a lot of organizations where it's not possible to meet the people who are
Right.
benefiting from your support. We're not the only ones doing that, but that's one of the things I think that sets us apart.
And I love the golf outing. I've been 3 times, 2 times. I don't know. We're going to be there again this year. But it's super fun seeing people get all excited and all the, the games they do at the hole. And then the last year was the one I wasn't at, but there was a paddle raise,
You
right?
missed it.
And there was more we talk about that?
Yes.
Oh, you looked at me like it was a secret. I didn't know if it
No,
was.
I said you missed it. Oh, it was
I'm
awesome. Sorry.
Look, dude, we don't talk about
No,
that.
don't talk about that. Please
Yeah.
talk about that.
It's like, all right, good. So yeah, it's just a lot more. It makes it a lot more dynamic.
Yeah.
And what is a paddle race?
Battle race is an auction without the stuff.
I've quoted you.
Yeah. Pause. I'll bring us home. It's good.
I like the strong ending from the boss.
Yeah. So I'll throw this out there.
Don't cut that. Leave that in.
So I'll bring us home. Stacey's like, all right, here we go, guys.
These are my people.
Go ahead, Stacey.
No, I would like to just throw this out there. We did this on another podcast, and I thought it was such an interesting question. But Rob, what was your very first job that you got a paycheck for?
Kmart. I was a cashier.
How did you feel when you got your paycheck?
Good. It was nice. It was the first time, it was awesome to get money.
What did you spend it on? Do you remember?
Um,
Can you say?
I was 16, so I was incredibly boring. So it was gas because I had to drive back and forth to work, and then I put money in the bank, and that was it.
Ooh, so
very
you started
responsible.
saving.
Until I was 18, and then that's when you can go to the casino, and that's where all that money went. It's
I
blackjack tables.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Did that work out?
no.
Okay.
Or else I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I'd be your biggest donor. And I'd be private about it. No. So basically, it was awesome though, because it was the first time that the whole I was a part of the economy, and that was the exciting part.
It was your money.
It's
Right.
your money. You get to do what you want with it. Yeah. And I think that that's such a incredible feeling. And I want to start kind of listening to others when they talk about that, because that's the opportunity that we have here at Work Skills, is to provide a first paycheck for a lot of people who just have never gotten a paycheck or were told they will never get a paycheck.
Yeah.
They are their own bosses at that point to do what they want with it. And we've seen incredible things from Heather. She redid her apartment, and bought a ton of things. There's all sorts of great stories out there. But
And payday is my favorite.
Oh my
probably
gosh.
said that on each episode. But have you ever been there on a payday? I don't think you have. So when you're there and here comes Howard handing out the paychecks, you can just feel the energy in the room going up as he goes from person to person, and their reactions they're just golden, right? I know I feel that way when I get my paycheck, right?
cool.
You just feel like you can now contribute to society and, pay taxes, all the cool things you get to do when you're earning an
I get so
income.
pumped about that.
I know taxes. Taxes are fun.
And I totally pay all of them,
Perfect. I'm really
as
glad.
you should.
Yes. All right, leader. So bring us home.
Oh, so now it's my turn.
Yes.
So I don't know if I'm going to do another one of these podcasts like this year. So I want to just think for a minute. We're sitting here right now. It's April. What are you looking forward to the most as we look out at the next 8 months for the foundation?
Well, I'll go first. That's when you jump in and talk. No, I want us to continue the trajectory of growth that we've been experiencing over the past several years, all the years, right? And I want more people to get involved with us. I want more people to know that we're there, whether they want to make a gift or they have someone who needs services. That's the cool thing that happens, when someone comes for a tour. Oh, my aunts, sisters, brothers, neighbors, dog's father has autism. Can you do anything to help? I mean, yes, I know it's my job to raise money, but letting people know that we are there for someone who might have a barrier. And to us, basically a barrier is something that would keep you from finding or holding on to a job. Mm-hmm. And now with the clinical services, we are working with children on the autism spectrum. We have speech and language pathology. We have occupational therapy. We want it to be a one-stop thing, especially for these families who have multiple children who need services. I want us to have really long wait lists so that the foundation can creatively find a way to provide the funding to meet the need.
Yeah. I would jump off of that just a little bit and say, just getting the word out about the fact that work skills is not just for one section of the community, that it's for so many. I mean, I have a child who needs occupational therapy support. And the fact that you have all of that right there and it's so, again, accessible, which I think is like a theme that we've been talking about, it's so accessible to so many is just lovely as a parent, frankly, with multiple kids. And so I think the more that we can just talk about it and make work skills a household name and talk about the breadth of the work and, just share the good vibes that come out of that building, I think is what winning looks like to me. Yes, we have goals. Yes, we need the community's help to achieve them. But at the end of the day, if one more person knows about us who needs us, that's a win.
Right. Okay, so I would like to hear your answer to that question.
For me, it's looking at what we've already planned out. We do a really good job of planning the next year. So really just executing that plan, going into 2026 stable, making sure our transition plans for whoever the next incoming chair is, which, they're leaving it in a better spot, or I'm leaving it in a better spot than I found it.
Oh, you're
and
leaving after this term? What?
I have no idea how that works, honestly. But like basically, it's just like every board that we have, we want to improve, transition, move on, improve, transition, move on, and that's what we should do. That way, it's a consistent machine. It's ran exactly like it ought to be, and it's not dependent on one person, but a collective of people that have the same mission, and that's what I want. And I think we have that.
We do, and I will say 2 of my board members are in this room with me, and that's how I feel about our board. It's not people who wanted their name on the letterhead. It's people who want to make a difference.
My name's on a letterhead?
We don't have letterhead. Oh, but I could order some.
Can we get that?
Yes, we can get. Oh, it's not in the budget.
You'll need to approve that.
Anyway,
A lot of red tape.
very fortunate to have the board members that we have because you guys are all committed and you're passionate about what we do, and it shows. You are what's making it work.
I appreciate that.
I think you're the one who's pushing it all forward, Jules.
No, I think it's you, Rob.
Not me. You're the glue.
Hammer it home, guys.
All right. So unless anybody has anything else,
Go to the golf outing.
let's go to the golf outing. You know what? We do have other ways to support us. I'm Julie. I'm the development director at Work Skills Foundation. I'm pretty sure my information will be in the show notes. As always, come for a visit. If you haven't been there, please, please, please come to a visit. We would love to meet you, and you would love to meet our participants. See you next month.